Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and I must ask you to hit the subscribe button because your subscription means the world to me and it helps the channel grow. If you can like the video, that's also very helpful. Thank you so much. Now let's go ahead and finish up here. Now the thing is, we have the score here, and we've marked this as a test that was already, if we go to marked here, let's see, marked, the test is here because it's been set as marked. Now the thing is, every time we want to retrieve the score of this student on this test, is we have to do a lot of calculations. Now remember what brings about this percentage. This one is a huge calculation which is done with all this, like get answer percentage, get mark percentage. This is the one right here, get mark percentage, and this is all we need to do to get that result. Now this is okay, no problem. However, it's not very good for retrieving information. Let's say, for example, the teacher wants to know which student did the best in that order from best to last. It's going to be very difficult to run a query that has this, because PHP would need to do all this processing for each student and then order the test results, etc., etc., which just gives us it's too painful to do. So since we have this function here, all we need to do is when let's go back here to our table for a second. If I go to answered tests, right, there's a part here that says marked. So if I set this as marked, then I can't edit it anymore. So let's remove the marked for now. Let's set it back to 0. And I want to come back here to mark test and refresh. Wait, is this the correct TY? Yes, this is the one right here. So let me click here and see. Oh, so marked goes back to 1. Let me put it back at 0, and as usual, it's that issue here. It's that issue here where the marked is at the end here, so that shouldn't be a problem, but for now let's remove it and refresh the page. So we get this set as marked. Now what I want to do is, instead of just setting this one to 1 like marked, I want to get the total percentage and save that as well, because it's much easier to use that in a query. So let me see here, marked, so I should put a score on this one here. So what I'll do is I'll go to the answered tests. We are in the structure here. Let me click on structure, and I want to put one more column. I can put it anywhere I want, but maybe before date, maybe after marked date there, and hit go. And I want to get the score here, so I'm going to call it score, and it's a, let's see, what does tinyInt go? It goes to 127, so let's use tinyInt instead with a length of 3, because then we can save a percentage at least from 0 to 100, because tinyInt goes up to 127, so it's within the range of 100, so that's okay. If you want, you can save it as int. That's entirely up to you. That's okay. But to save space and data, let's add an index, because we'll be using this to read from the database to order our result. So now that we have a score there, what I can do now is I can go to mark test, and let's see, mark test. And where we are marking it as set as marked right here, what I want to do is add one more thing, and that will be the right here where there's test ID, user ID, marked by. So the things I'm saving here, set marked is equal to 1, marked by marked date, and then we need to add score as well here. So score is equal to full colon score. Don't forget the comma here and the full colon there. So let's add score at the end here. Don't forget the comma there as well. So let's add a score. So how do we get a score? We know how to do this by let's look inside mark test inc here. Score percentage is right there, and this is how we get it. Get score percentage. Let me copy that. Let's go back to mark test and let me paste this right here. So the score percentage, we get that from the test ID. We have to know the test ID. Now the test ID is inside our URL. Yes, it is. And so is the user ID. So this is cool. So I just need to remove test ID because it's called ID here. It's not even inside a row, it's just ID. And then there's also user ID, which is the same as what we are using here. Let's see, it says get mark percentage. Yes, ID, user ID. Okay, pretty good. So now we can save a score, which is nice. So in order to prove that that is actually working, we can test it out. Now if you want a refresh here, we can do a refresh. We can say this redirect. After doing this, we can say this redirect. And what are we redirecting to? This one is mark test slash, and then we concatenate the ID. We also concatenate another slash and the user ID, like this. Okay, this should do us justice. So let's set this as marked like this. Ooh, something wrong here on line 120, and yes, this right here, we don't need that closing tag at all. So let's try this again. Object of class mark test could not be converted to a string on line 123, right here. What's happening here? Ah, right, double thingy. There we go. So now we should have a score here. If I check, click browse, let's see. Yep, we have a score of 67%. Very nice. But we don't have a score here. Let me just add it there by just checking the marked tests. This one is 50%. So let me just add it there manually, just for the sake of reading. Okay, so now we have a score here. Now we can use this information in the profile, the user's profile. So let's go to the marked tests here, and this one belongs to this guy. I'll click view, and this is the test right here, 67%. Now if I go to his profile, and yes, so we have a doubling of test results here, which is very unsettling, but we can fix that. Wait, this is on profile? Yes. But anyway, we have scores here, which is nice. Now, this is not where I wanted us to go, but let's see what we can do about this real quick. Let me go to the profile page. What's happening here? When the tab is equal to tests, yes. And let's come down here. What's happening? Wait a second. My first test, end of term, blah blah blah. get all submitted tests. What's this else statement? I'm getting confused here a little bit. So if you are not a student, if row rank is not, so this one is not a student, this is what will happen, but this one is a student, so we will pass through here instead. Okay, so marked get from answered tests where blah blah blah, and then answered tests is here. So let's see what this contains. How many rows does it have in answered tests? Let's refresh, and we have 0, 1. That's nice, but why do we have double there here? At the end of the day, that beats me. Let's do something for marked here. Let's see. Right. So there's a for each loop here which repeats. It gets the details for this one by one, which isn't. Let me undo this for a second. Sure. Let's look at answered tests here. One second, let's refresh. I want to see how much information it has. So it has the user, but it doesn't have the what's this? The test details, which is what we're supposed to be adding here. But it seems we're adding a little bit more than what we need to be adding, because let me put this here. Let me echo that here at the end of the day. And let's see what happens. Okay, so I have 0, 1, and 2. So yeah, clearly there's a repeat here of what's going on. So what gives? What's happening? Is there another loop here that I'm unaware of? Let's go up, up, up. Nope, doesn't look like. There's only one loop, which is this one. And it gives us more than what we need. Right. So answered tests, answer test key, test details. It's this one right here. We don't need this at all. So remove this marked from there. And then answered tests should be here. I think that should solve the problem. Yeah, exactly. Okay, pretty good. Maybe the student may want. Anyway, this is just fine. It's okay. And where were we going? I'm getting lost here now. What I wanted was to use that score to display things inside the class. So I'm just going to go to the this is the test itself, marked single. And what I want is a button somewhere here that says view scores or something. Marked single. No, this is just a single test. Let's go to tests themselves here, because that one was a particular test of a particular student. What I want is when I go to end of term, like here where it's showing all the questions, then view class, I can put view scores as well here. That way I can view the scores of all the students that took this particular test. So let's add the button for now. We'll add the functionality in the next video. So let's go to single test, and where is this? Single test view. And I'm looking for this button that says view class, and I want to duplicate this. Okay. Now I want this to go to the single test, but with let's see here, what do we get? Single test, but with a question mark, a query string there that says scores. That way we see scores instead of these questions here. Okay, so this way this page tab, so there's add question, right? Single test, add question. Yeah, so this is all good, but instead I want one tab which shows the scores. So here after the delete, let's add one called scores, like that, and then we'll have a file called test tab scores, like that. Okay, that should do the trick. And on the button here that I duplicated, we should come back to single test, right? I should copy a link from the other ones instead of copying this. Maybe I'll leave this like the way it is, and instead I'll say view scores, student scores for this test. And there are tabs here, right, where once we click add to add test or something like that, where is that? Test tab view, it should be in there. I just want to copy the links, so let me look for test tab view here for a second. Test tab view inc, and I just want the links to these buttons right here. Where are these links? Add question. Oh, I see. Where is the tab name? I can't see any link that have a tab is equal to or something like that, because type is equal to multiple. Anything with a tab somewhere? Nope, doesn't look like. Nope, nothing at all. Anyway, what I would do is, let me just come back here. Scores. Right here we have duplicated this. Instead of single test, this is, yeah, it is single test. This is single class. So change that to test. And then the class ID, no, let's get the test ID. And tab is equal to scores. Oh, so I already had something here. So let's refresh. Okay, so view student scores, or instead of putting the view there, we can just say student scores. I'm sure they will know that it's a viewing ceremony. So student scores, clicky, and the tab is equal to scores there, but we're still seeing this, which is disturbing. Let me see if the scores, yeah, tab is equal to scores, which is right there. And it should change page tab. Right. I think the reason is that if we go up to single test, it doesn't actually care. If I come up here and look for page tab, it's set to view regardless. So what I should do instead is, let me just put an if statement. If is set, I just want it to make an exception for when it says scores. So if is set get tab and get tab is equal to scores, so only in that instance should we change the tab name to scores. Or if you don't want that, we can just follow the format that we did, where we create another function to display the information that we want specifically, like when we're adding questions and the like. But we can still do it like this. Okay, so this is fine, it's working now. View class, come back. I don't know how to go back to the main, but view scores, we should add a back button here somewhere. The page is not found simply because if I go down here, we don't have this tab test scores file. But let's create that file in the next video.